welcome back to the TorontoWebsiteDeveloper.com. I am Peter Worski, the Toronto website developer specializing in Drupal. And in this fifth video tutorial of our 10-part video tutorial series in views, we're going to take a look at theming views. This will be the first tutorial into kind of the more complex concepts around views and complex things to do. Up until now, we've kind of looked at views right out of the box and how can we change things and use things from within the user interface. But this will be the first tutorial where we kind of step out of that and use the broader Drupal system, combining it with views to do some custom work on our site. So let's dive right into it, as always. First thing, let's take a look. This is our view that we've been working on. We have dog images, and you'll see we have the dog, the node title, and then we've got the image from the actual node itself, and that's the style of it is changed up to make sure that they're thumbnails so that we can see, so it actually scaled down. So we've done that all from within the views itself. So let's go and we'll take a look at this view, and we're going to change this title to make it look a little bit more like an actual title. Just so you're aware, I guess we should take a step back, and up until now we've only been working with the Drupal Bartik theme, and so we can't do any custom theming to that, because if we do, we'll essentially be hacking up Drupal core. If we go to update our site, we can really screw things up, so you never want to do that. So you'll see here in themes, there's Bartik, that's what we've been using. So just a sidestep outside of views, what we want to do is make sure we're working with our own theme. So we do that by going to Sites, Themes, All, Themes. And you'll see I've already done this, but I'm going to walk you through the process. I'm going to paste Bartik here. I'm going to change this name to be TWD Bartik, and we'll put a 2 on it because I already have TWD Bartik. The reason why you can't use the same name is because Drupal uses namespaces, and they have to be unique. So if you double up, Drupal doesn't know what it's looking at, and you can really screw things up there. So that's the most simplistic explanation for it, but we've gone ahead and named it TWD Bartik 2, and that has to be unique to the theme that you're working with. So now when we go into this, what we have to do is there are a few things we have to change. First thing, Bartik.info is no longer Bartik.info. This is TWD Bartik underscore with the 2, right, to match our namespace. And we want to open this file. And so I've got my editor here. I'm just going to drag it in. And we look at this name. Let's just change this to TWD Bartik 2. If you don't, you'll get a little bit confused when you're looking at the themes from within Drupal. Other thing that I like to do, style sheets here. Because I'm using another theme and I'm modifying it, I like to make my own style sheet. So this would be TWD overrides.css, right? And then I would go ahead and save that. And now Drupal knows that I have another CSS file in my CSS folder for TWD overrides. And so if I look at that, I can go ahead and I can actually manually create this file. So I just go to new text document, TWD overrides.css. And now Drupal will know I can put in the CSS in there and it will know that it exists. So that's what we want to do to the info file. The next thing you want to do is open up your template file, so template.php, and you're going to go ahead and replace Bartik with TWD Bartik 2. Go ahead and replace all. It should be about 10 if you're using Bartik. The reason why you do that, all of these pre-process functions, in Drupal they use a system hook pre-process and then whatever you're using. You'll see that with function calls all over the place. Hook something allows you to hook into Drupal and override things. So that hook is actually replaced by whatever it is it's calling it. So if it's a theme, your theme name. If it's a module, your module name. So they were all Bartik underscore. So then we changed that to TWD Bartik 2, and that's why we do that. So that was just a quick sidestep. You want to do that if you haven't already, and you're not working with a custom theme. So once you do that, when you go into appearance, I'll just quickly show you. You want to make sure that once you've already done that, you actually switch over to your new theme, because what's the point of doing that if you're still working with Bartik? Then you'll wonder why the hell you can't theme anything. So you'll see here I've got TWD Bartik enabled, but down here I've got TWD Bartik 2. And so you'd want to go ahead, enable that, set as default, and disable Bartik. And then you're good to go. We're back to views. So first thing to look at, I'll show you kind of the old way that you used to do this in views. If you wanted to customize some CSS for your field, there was no way to do this from within views. So what you would do is you would rewrite the results, and I think this is still applicable if you're using Drupal 6. You'd rewrite it, and you would add and obviously I've already done this, so let's not ruin the surprise. Let's go with a div class equals some CSS. Some CSS is obviously whatever you want to call it. And then you would look at your replacement patterns, and replacement patterns you can actually pull in the content. So title is actually the title of what we're working with here. So you put title back in to get your content, and then you would close the div, not the C. So close the div, and that's how you'd add CSS. You would go ahead and apply that to all displays, and then you would have CSS wrapping your field. Now, the cool thing about the new version of Views, Views 3, you now have style settings. So rather than go ahead and rewrite the results, what you can do is you can customize the field, customize the label, or customize a wrapper for both. So let's go ahead and customize the field. We want to make it look like more of a title, so we're going to give it an H2. But you can look at all of these different CSS classes, and you can apply them, and it'll pull in the CSS from that automatically. So that's kind of cool. So we'll go ahead and we'll add an H2, but we'll also add a custom class. So we want to call this extra spacing, right? And we can apply that to all displays. And what this will do is it'll customize our field so that it no longer looks just like plain text. So we can go ahead and save that. And now if we scroll down, you see we've got an H1 here. And if I inspect this using Google Chrome's developer tools, I can scroll down and I see I've got a class here, extra spacing. So let's go hop back into our TWD overrides, which I have. This is for a different video tutorial, but still applicable. And I'm going to add extra spacing. Open my brackets, and I'm going to do margin just so that we can actually see the effect, 50px. Save that. Go back to my site, reload this. And now you see that I've got these massive margins. So that's how you can add some CSS. You know, we can do a text align here, center, save that, go back to our site, right? And now everything's in the middle, and we're starting to look a little bit cooler. So that's how you can add some CSS to the actual field. Quick and dirty way to do it. I shouldn't say dirty; it's pretty clean. But you know, there's still some things that you might want to go above and beyond just adding simple CSS to fields. And the way to do that is actually look at template files. So again, brief sidestep. If you're not familiar, Drupal's theming system is all based on templates as well as function calls, pre-processed function calls. So it's all within the theme system. So the theme system is pretty complex. I suggest you Google it if you're not familiar with it. Just get some information on it. Drupal.org has a whole whack load of information, but everyone does tutorials on the theming system, so no lack of information. That said, template files are one way to display things in Drupal. So you can use this theming function, or you can use a template file and pass the information along to the user where it's rendered. So, template files. We can go ahead and we'll edit the view, and we can do a little bit more complex work in a template file that we can't necessarily do with just adding CSS classes. So this might be collapsed for you, but you want to go ahead and click on the advanced. And so I know I'm applying to all dog images here, and I can go ahead and I can click information. When I click information, this shows me the template files that my view is actually using. And so template files go from most broad to most specific. So the display output is going to impact, just give me a template file for your entire view, right? It's going to impact everything. Your style output is going to specifically impact what you've chosen to display your view as. A grid, unformatted list, a table, whatnot. You'll be able to modify that. The output for the row is going to actually impact your different results. So, you know, you'll get result set 1, which is title 1, image 1, title 2, image 2, title 3, image 3, right? And so each one of those is a row, and that's what you can impact. Then you can get specific to the actual fields. So you'll see here that all of these are using the first. And again, it's a system of most broad to most specific. So most specific being views, view, dog images, page, right? And so just walking through these, when you look at views, view, dog image, this will apply just to this specific view, whereas this template file applies to every view, right? Views, view. Views, view, dog image introduces our view name, and so that's why it gets more specific. And then you can look at views, views default, right? So just the default page, right? The default. So if I was looking at, you know, my other view tab here, so we'll call page Susie Pictures. just for the sake of argument so you can understand what I'm talking about. This pulls in the page, right? So you're looking at page rather than the default. And then again, you get more specific, you can get into page 1. And so that's what Susie Pictures is. It's page 1 by default, the default name, right? Not associating the alias. So going back to, sorry for that brief side step, but going back to all dog images, when we go to theme information, we can get more specific as we move down the line, right? Dog image page would apply to all page types of our view. So I know it's a little bit complex. It'll get a little bit more clearer once I show you the field level views here. So again, if you're using this title field in a whole bunch of different views and you want them all to look the same, you could do views view field title, right? And that would impact every single view that you do. But maybe you just want that just to impact this specific view, and so you can start moving down the line and getting more specific. The last one being the most specific. So you'll see here I've got views view field dog image page title, right? So it's only going to impact my dog image view where I've got a page and I'm using the title field. So once I do that, I would copy this name, and I've already done it, that's why it's bold. But then I would go here and I would go to a new file. You know what, I'll walk you through a brand new one here. So we'll do this for our image. So we're going to take this name, copy it. In our templates, we're going to go ahead and go new file. Paste the name, remove the txt. Yes, I want to change the field there. And so now I've got this field, but it's going to be blank. So if I go into my editor here, I drag this in, I've got nothing in here. So we obviously need some content. Cool thing is you can click on this link and grab all of this PHP, copy that, go back to your editor, paste it in, right? And so if you take a quick read through this, you'll know that essentially what this is it provides you with the information related to the field, and all that this is doing is actually printing the output. So the output is the processed output that is normally used. So I want to make sure that I'm actually overriding this properly. So I'm going to say Pete's tutorials, and we can't do the apostrophe, really help me. So this is obviously a most ridiculous case because you would not override every field just to say that, but we want to make sure it's working. So we'll go ahead and go OK. We've got to go back into theme image, or theme information, I'm sorry. Rescan the template files. And now you'll see that we're using a different template file. We're not using view field. And the reason why we have to rescan is because all of your information for your theme is cached. And so if you don't rescan, it won't pick that up. So if you're having problems getting this template file recognized, make sure that you've rescanned and that you see that it's bold. Now, if I go ahead and I save this view, we see that I don't actually get the output for the image, I get the text that I put in. So I know that my template file is working. So that's a good thing. So we go back here, and we would want to change this back to output. Go ahead and save, and then we can do whatever we want to do. That will kind of be the extent of what I show you. I mean, you could do some really serious things here, but one thing that I would caution you is just template files are usually used just to change the theme, or sorry, the CSS, right? Just the display function. You don't actually want to include too much PHP logic here. That's typically included in your template.php file, which is where we'll be going next. So just to close this off, you could add some div class here, whatever, some logic to do zebra processing if you wanted to do that, a whole bunch of different stuff. So that's where you would add that here. That said, we'll save that up so we're still fine. If we wanted to do some crazy PHP and start pre-processing these fields and looking at some complex things, I can't even think of what the example would be, but you never know what's out there. So in order to do that, what we would typically do when you're doing any type of theming is to contain all of your logic in your template.php file. And so if we look at template.php, you'll see here some overrides that come with Bartik where they're adding different things to the variables, changing things up, adding some CSS, a bunch of different stuff. So what we would do is add a new function, and this is going to be twd Bartik. And the way that you take a template file and change it into a function is you take everything, and so you make them dashes. So the name here we see is views, view field, dog image, page, field image. This is all going to change over to underscores. So it's views, and then we'll view field, 2 underscores, dog underscore image underscore page underscore field underscore image, and I think I missed an underscore there. And that will be it. And then it's always going to take in variables, right? Open up our curly braces, close them, and then we just want to go, and override views, right? Just a comment so you know what's going on. Obviously, you do that a little bit more in depth, so if you ever came back to it, you know what was going on, because you don't want to screw things up there. And then what I like to do here is I usually have sorry, let me do this. Obviously, you can't do 2 things at once. I usually have develop module enabled, and what develop will allow you to do is actually print out the variables in a nice way that you can read them. However, I don't think I have develop enabled, so I'll do a print R on my variables, which will likely be a little bit ugly, but we can take a look at things. So let's go ahead and save that, go back to our site, and hope that I did not screw things up. So I can go flush all caches because I've introduced a new theming function. So in order for Drupal to pick that up, you got to flush your theme registry. Okay, so I've done that, and I don't actually see any print R here, so obviously we might have a problem. So let's take a look at what I might have done. And I see exactly what I did. Underscore page should have an extra underscore, and in hindsight, what I should have done is just grab this name on copy. Easiest way to do this is you just paste it, and then you have all your underscores that you can easily change. So if I save that, and then again, I've got to flush my caches, my theme registry. Great, and once I reload it, I see I'm getting this print R of our specific variables. Really ugly to look at, obviously. So I just want to stop this from continuing to run. And you'll notice down here, I'm actually not printing out the image anymore. And what that tells me is I've actually overridden the template file. It's now a function, and because I'm not returning the actual image out, it's not printing it. And so I'll show you what I was talking about with KPR and devel. So if I go ahead and save this now, and the reason why we had to reflush our theme caches is because we screwed up the function name. If we didn't do that, it wouldn't know about the new function name that we actually have as the right one. So anyways, just when all else fails, flush your caches. So let's reload here. And now you'll see, rather than this ugly print R, I've got this nice little JavaScript. And I just stopped it. I've got this nice JavaScript that I can actually walk through the entire variables and see what's going on, right? And so I'll see I've got the output here, and so if I want to get my images back, I can go print output, and sorry, this should be variables, and is variables an object? Nope, it's an array. Go ahead and save that. Go back, reload this. And KPR, the reason why I use KPR is because it's a devel function, and so it kind of gives you this nice output for our specific view. And obviously we're still getting some screw up here. So I'll get a picture at the top, which is a problem. I think that's because we need a return, not a print. Let's reload this. Scroll down, and we've got our images back. And so that's the way that you can use template.php to override. You have some functions rather than TPL files. KPR, obviously, nice function that you can walk through a specific array or object. Look at what's included in that. JavaScript, obviously, devel module is huge. I recommend you use it if you're doing anything like this. And you have to use KPR. I don't really want to get into why, but KPR rather than DSM. allows you to do that at the theming level, and then obviously make sure you return things back. And so here you can do some complex logic if you wanted to do all kinds of crazy programming. Recommend you do it here, not in a template.php file. So I hope that helps. That's Vue's theming in a nutshell. In our next video tutorial, we'll start looking at relationships and contextual filters, onwards to more complex concepts as well. So again, if this video tutorial helped you, please give me a YouTube thumbs up. Always appreciate those, and I'd love to see the comments that tell me these are helping people. It definitely provides some motivation to keep going. So until the next video tutorial, take care, and hopefully this works out for you.